We don't like sitting with our thoughts and just quiet time.
Brought my computer to my kid's birthday party last night. I didn't even get on it.
It's a real live addiction. When it's quiet, you then have to pay attention to what's going on. And if we don't stop to take time to pay attention and work through that, then I found that life will do something to you to sit you down and make you pay attention. Growth starts with awareness and curiosity, and stagnation starts with defending certain beliefs we've been afraid to question. And I don't look at it as calling somebody out. I look at it as calling somebody up. The depthness that you've been willing to go with yourself, it will allow you to show up to be able to go into depth with other people.
We say we're chasing something, like we're chasing money or greatness or whatever it is, but a lot of times it's running from something too.
We don't like sitting with our thoughts and just quiet time.
All right, welcome back to another episode, everyone. We got an amazing guest today, super stoked. But before we get it kicked off, Nick, I know you're a little bit powerless over there in Arkansas, so where are you at right now?
Yeah, in the car, man. Got hit by a tornado or something, so power's been out since like 1 a.m. So I had to go pull up in the car. Couldn't miss this one with Edgar. He's a dog, man. Appreciate you hopping on, Edgar.
Appreciate you guys having me. Nick, you said you think you got hit by a tornado. Did it happen? Were you asleep?
I slept through it. I woke up and I turned on the shower and it was like super freaking cold. And I'm like, okay, why is it not warming up? And I tried to, turn on the lights and nothing worked. So then I had to hop in the cold shower, which is, probably good for me. Then I get out and I go into the room where my computer is.
Yeah.
And we don't have Wi-Fi and it's dark as shit. So then I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna have to
Pull
pull up in the car. But yeah, I guess something came through. There was tornado sirens. I slept through it though.
Well, I'm glad y'all all right. I'm glad y'all safe.
We here, man. We make it happen, but we make it happen,
Yeah,
man.
no,
But
we're
yeah,
good.
if you guys don't know who Edgar is, just a little bit of background on him. NFL vet, played in the NFL for 7 years. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's a coach, and we really appreciate him for joining us today. And Edgar, dude, I want to get right into it, man, because I think this conversation is going to be really awesome. Can you just tell us about number 64? Like, why is 64 such an important number to you?
Yeah. It was the first number I got when I got into the NFL, and it's not a beautiful number as an outside linebacker. It's not like your gorgeous number at outside linebacker. And I remember when I made the team with the Ravens, and before that happened, the head coach at the time, Brian Billick, he told us only one guy is going to make the team. Like out of the rookies that came in, on one of you guys are going to make the team. And that was about 35 of us. So once I ended up making the team, I remember going to talk to the equipment guy about switching numbers. And I said, hey, man, just out of curiosity, like, why did you give me 64? And he was like, well, we didn't expect for you to be here long. And I was like, all right, I appreciate your honesty. So to me, regardless on what number I had throughout my NFL career, but this is also has been my life. Like regardless on what number I had, it was always the 64 underdog story. Individuals saying to me in person or over a phone call, or even thinking about it, like, hey, we don't think he's going to be here that long. And I have found that when I've traveled around the world and had a chance to meet some amazing people, man, that come from all different walks of life, if you really take the time to sit down and listen to their story, they have the 64 underdog story as well. They've worn the 64 number. People have said like, hey, you're not going to be here long. Hey, we don't expect for you to make it. Or they get ready to go into a new role in leadership, and people's like, I don't think he or she's going to make it that long in that role. Or you're starting up a business. And like, yeah, that's a bad idea. They're not going to make it that long. So individuals that I've found that I've had a chance to speak to, and even if I haven't had a chance to talk to them, just listen to their story through a podcast, right? Or maybe something on YouTube. I'm like, man, this person has a 64 story as well.
I had 46, man. I thought that was an ugly number.
Yeah.
64 though.
But then like somebody broke down a symbolic meaning of 64 as well. Like when you're 6 + 4, right? It ends up being like back to 10, which means number one. So it's I'm diving more into this. And
Yeah.
the interesting thing is, man, I used to run from that number. I used to run from telling people I was 64. Like when people would ask me, like, hey, what was the number they gave you? Like I would always talk about like 91 or all these other numbers. Like I never really talked about 64 until I realized the power in being able to share that story behind 64.
What made you run from the number?
I would say that comparison made me run from the number. You can't compare F-250 to a BMW. They're two totally different vehicles, but there's a need for both. And when I would look at 64, I was comparing 64 to all the other numbers and not realizing that if I showed up with the right perspective, 64 could also come in this room and bring value as well. So me comparing and looking at other numbers, I would look at what that number was doing and it would take me off track and off focus of what Edgar was doing and how I need to continue to come in and bring value as well. But comparison.
Nick, did that ever happen to you?
I mean, I think my whole life I was like number 22 all the way through college, which is a great number. And then, you know, I have the whole deal where I don't make the league during COVID and I have to train another year. And then when I go through pro day, get picked up by the Cowboys, they give me 46, which 10 is a symbolic number to me, Edgar, because of the whole story about dimes. And it's a really crazy story, but I've had God's, you know, presence with me the entire time. I got to a point where I thought, you know, 46 was so ugly, just as like as a number, because it wasn't symmetrical. Like 44 is cool, 45, but like 46, I just thought it was an ugly number. But then I just realized where I was, you know, in the league, playing at a very high level, and there was few individuals that ever get there ever. So I didn't give a shit what number I was, and you know, I was going to make it cool. I definitely know what you mean about guys or equipment staff and folks not thinking you're going to be there long. So was the rookie number just 64?
Yeah, the rookie number was just 64, and that was for a short period of time. Then once I made the team, I ended up getting 91.
You came from like Southeast Missouri State,
Yeah,
right?
dog. Red Hawks. Toronto, Missouri.
Yeah. And is that the helmet you have there behind you?
Yeah, so this actually, man, this helmet behind me, this is symbolic, dude. This helmet, you know, has a lot of meaning behind it. So my first 2 years in college, I was actually hurt. I dislocated my elbow my first game of the first year as a freshman. I missed the whole season. My sophomore year, I tore all the ligaments in my ankle. The second game, missed the whole season. And then my third year, like I only played like 3 games. So going into my fourth year, I ended up balling out, making All-American and led the nation in sacks. And there was a lot of people that contributed to how I ended up doing it that year. So I ended up playing, going into my senior game. I didn't play because I had a high ankle sprain the game before. And dude, I found out after the game was over with, my grandfather passed. And my grandfather played a big part of my life. So I'm playing in this all-star game. And this was the 1AA schools against all the 1A schools. And I went to a 1AA school. So all week, man, these scouts were talking to all the 1A players, right? They really didn't talk to any of us 1AA guys at all. And one of the things that each guy from the 1AA school did was they would give you a sticker from their helmet, but also say something they appreciated about you during that week that we played with each other. And dude, I was probably at one of the lowest times of my life playing at that all-star game. I was grateful that I got in, but dealing with the gravity of my grandfather passing, and I had some grief that I was dealing with, and then I had a high ankle sprain. So I was like, man, can I really show up and play to the highest level in this all-star game? Man, those guys taking the time to give me these stickers and tell me how much they enjoyed their week with me, they don't understand how they lifted me up. And more importantly, what they did was they gave me their presence of just providing space, not knowing like what was going on in my life about my grandfather passing. And it says a lot about, leadership. One of the things that we can give people is just our presence, dude, and our attention. And attention is currency. And that's what they gave me during that week, their presence and their attention. And that lifted my spirits up, man. And it played a big part in getting my energy back at a high level to then go and perform at a high level in that game. And I balled out. I got like 5 sacks. I got defensive player of the game, made just balled out, man. But that helmet played a big part in how I showed up that week and those stickers.
I love that because, I can relate to that as well. I'm not trying to make this about me, but my grandfather also played a big role in my life. And I remember when I was in college, he passed away. And I already hated school. Like, I did not enjoy school. So I was having the best time. And then he passed away. And I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, I'm already not having that much fun. And then I would literally remember I was getting out of class and I get the call from my dad and he's like crying. I've never heard my dad cry. So I was just like, oh gosh, like I know where this is going. And then I get home into my house and one of my roommates is there and I just tell him and he's just with me and like that helped a lot and he was just encouraging me and I know during that time so I can relate to that, man. And obviously, I wasn't playing in a game the next day. But that helped a lot and I think yeah, being present, especially, you mentioned leadership. I think whether it's whether it's running a business or just, having a conversation with a friend, I think being present for someone, showing up for them is such an underrated thing nowadays. I would love to talk more about how people can show up for other people and just becoming a better leader because there's a lot of distractions nowadays, man. Like you got the phone, people are busy. How can we show up for ourselves as a better leader and then how can we be more present with others?
So I will first say it starts with one of the most important things, and that is just being aware of how have I been showing up in the past. Growth starts with awareness and curiosity, and stagnation starts with defending certain beliefs we've been afraid to question. And when I have the awareness of like how I've been showing up, and there's 2 parts of awareness. We have the internal awareness of like, hey, I know this is something that's been going on that I've been doing. And then you have the external awareness of what Justin and Nick is seeing with me. So first, asking the question to yourself of how have I been showing up lately? Have I been showing up putting my phone down? Have I been showing up while I'm talking to Justin and I'm typing on my phone, but I'm like, yeah, Justin, I'm listening to you. No, you're not. You're not giving me your attention. Am I showing up and I'm responding to emails and Nick is giving me a rundown of how their early morning meeting went? So those are quick check-ins that I could do with myself that then give me the answer to have I been showing up, being present, and giving that person my undivided attention. The second piece to that is having that person in your life that will share with you what they've been noticing. And that comes through asking the question, hey, Justin, when you're with me, man, tell me what are you noticing that I'm doing well and where do you see the room for improvement when it comes to interacting with my team and how I'm showing up? And there's 2 rules I have with that. One is when Justin finished giving me that information and what he's been noticing. The first rule is ask for more, expand. I have this framework called the ECHO framework. The E is for expand. So Justin's telling me how I've been showing up. I'll be like, hey, Justin, could you expand on that a little bit more? You mentioned that sometimes I'm not fully there. Like, tell me a little bit more on what that looks like. The C is for clarity. So to clarify, hey, I heard you say that I do this. Is that pretty accurate? And then the H is what I'm hearing. I heard you talk about I do this, this, and this. Am I still on track? And then the O is for openness. Hey, is there anything else that I probably have missed? So back to that rule is just, hey, expand on this a little bit more. And then the second part of that is now that Justin's given me that information, I would then go take it and say, man, is there truth to this? And then how can I continue to show up being better at the feedback I just got from the people or the person that's sharing with me what they shared? And I don't look at it as calling somebody out. I look at it as calling somebody up, calling them up to their full potential and what you see out of them.
Dude, that's so good. Can we transition this a little bit? Because I know in here too, like when I was doing my research a little bit, you talked about, high performers are always going so fast, but you're also saying at the same time now, like you got to slow down to speed up in a way, and you help leaders do that.
Yeah.
I know being Nick, I know Nick's moving quick. He's building his business. I'm moving quick. I got a lot of stuff going on, but I've noticed too, even when I was moving quickly, there were times where I was like, "Holy crap! Like I went down the wrong road. I should have slowed down and look where I was going, man." But then
Yeah.
like, when I do that in the future, like usually good things happen. But it's so hard sometimes because usually as a high performer, you're like, "I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go." So how can we slow down to speed up? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, I would say this. That's a great question. It's slowing down is just a way of life, man. It's nature teaches us this. That Ferrari you have or that car you have, it has brakes for a reason. It does, dude. I remember, man, when I was working in the summer with my grandfather, and he got a brand new lawnmower, and he pulls this lawnmower out the box, and we're looking at all the different buttons it has, and I point over in the corner, and I'm like, "Granddaddy, like, what's those two little logos over there?" And he's like, "Well, that's a turtle and that's a rabbit." I'm like, "What's that for?" And he's like, "You see that high grass over there?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "When you get ready to go through that high grass, you shift into rabbit." I said, "Okay, okay, okay." He said, "You see that low grass over there?" I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see it." He said, "You get ready to go through the low grass, you can shift into turtle." And all summer, dude, I was shifting from rabbit to turtle, from rabbit to turtle. That's what I was doing. And man, my grandfather was really teaching me a valuable lesson. And it wasn't so much about power and speed, it was about knowing how to shift from rabbit to turtle. And shifting is a way of life. And when you look at nature, nature's always shifting from rabbit to turtle. You have seasons where things are moving fast and things are slowing down. One of the things about a brisket, when it comes out off that egg or that steak that's coming out, the first thing they tell you is, "Hey, don't cut into it right away. You got to let that sit for a second." So knowing how to shift is critical. And I would also say that you can't continue to sustain performing at a high level if I'm always in rabbit mode. If I'm always in rabbit mode, I can't continue to perform at a high level. So it's more so about understanding the rhythm of intensity and recovery. When we go into sports, the one thing that's for certain, and Nick can speak to this, at some point in time when we get throughout the season, one thing that teams are starting to do more of is walkthroughs. We're literally at the NFL level walking through plays. And when we're walking through plays, it's slowing down to assess, to communicate, to talk, to dial back in into the basic things. So we then could slow down to speed up to execute better.
No, I love that too. Is how can we get more tactical with that right there? Like for business, like again, give me and Nick some like wisdom where it's like you're speaking to these big companies, right? Like how can you go into their organization and maybe the CEO or like their team's like, yo, we're going so quickly. Are there like actual tactical things that you're telling them like how to slow down to speed up when it comes to business?
But I would ask them the questions of tell me, unpack that a little bit more when you say like you guys are going fast. Like show me your process. When it comes to, let's say, your sales teams, right? And they're crushing things, they're knocking it out the park. Show me your process and show me how what you've been encountering and what you've been dealing with as far as the challenges. So let's say like one of the challenges they're having is somebody in their sales teams is not closing. For some reason, like this guy's been off when it comes to closing deals. I'm like, well, explain to me his process. Talk to me like how he approaches the conversation. Well, let's say he's been approaching the conversation because every time he gets on the phone with the client, he's so busy talking that he's not taking the time to thoroughly listen to what the client is saying. So now what I'm doing is I come in on that call, I'm preparing myself, and I'm making sure I'm asking questions that's specific for that client. And then after that client finishes answering the first question, I'm not quick to try to jump to the next question. That's me taking time to slow down. So Nick is that client, Nick is that potential client. Nick is telling me about our services and one of the challenges and one of the things they encounter with a previous company that they worked with. And rather than me going to the next question, I say, well, Nick, tell me a little bit more about the challenges that you guys encountered when you were working with that previous company. Well, oh man, like they never took time to get back to us in an orderly fashion. It always took like a week and a half before we heard back to them. Well, now I need to know that when we're working alongside them, we don't need to be waiting a whole week to get back to them. Like, dude, we need to make sure we're getting back to these people in a timely fashion. That's a part, like, you get what I'm like, that's a part of slowing down. Thinking is going fast, being thoughtful is slowing down. So here's an example. I got to talk to Nick about something I've been noticing he's been doing with the team. I'm thinking about me talking to Nick. I'm thinking I got to have a conversation with Nick. Me being thoughtful is I take time to prepare when I get ready to go into the conversation. I take time to prepare by my preparation and the way I've asked my questions. I take time to prepare by saying, Justin, I'm getting ready to talk to Nick about his performance. Here's the way I'm going to approach it. Let me know your thoughts. That's me being more thoughtful.
Never heard it like that before. Thinking versus being thoughtful, and I like that too. So, like, okay, so let's get even more tactical here. So maybe there's like, I mean, let's just maybe use Nick. We were talking about before
We're
about
picking
how
on Nick right now.
we're just picking on Nick, but like how balancing work and like the physical, like working out. Like there's a lot of busy entrepreneurs. I know a million entrepreneurs who they go down just that work path and they might let the health slip a little bit. Like, how can we balance all of that? Like, how can we be more intentional with that kind of stuff? I'm not trying to pick on Nick here, but we were just talking about that before we started recording.
Yeah. You mean balancing specifically what?
Just like, how can we keep our health up while still like, building the business in a way where it's not like we're not burning out and we can slow down a little bit, right? Like instead of, maybe taking the meetings at 5, 6, 7 p.m., like we can slow down to go to the gym or hang out with our family or do whatever. But it's all more intentional. How can we do that?
Yeah, by finding out what works well for you, and I would say one of the things we do is we take in all this information and we're trying out what everybody else is talking about, but it's not something that works well for us. Let's just keep it built around fitness because we talked about this earlier. For me, I don't have to work out every single day. I typically go about 4 days, maybe sometimes 5 times a week. But I've also found that instead of me going to the gym, dude, I can just do a 2 or 3 mile walk and I can put my weighted vest on. And that works well for me. Sometimes I take the approach of saying, hey, dude, on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm going to work out. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are more days that I just go for long walks. So it's one of those things of trying out what works well for you and tracking that and being intentional with sticking with it, not like I'm gonna try it out for 2 weeks and then this hadn't worked. Like you're trying this out and you're actually putting time into this. And is this working well for you? And if so, how is this working well for you? And I would also say, you tell me what seesaw do you know that's balanced. There'll be seasons, man. There's seasons where it's like I'm really working hard to build this business. And then there's also seasons where I'm like, you know what? There's time for me to pull back a second and slow down. So when it comes to family, one of the boundaries I put into place is after 5:30, bro, I just cut everything off. As far as taking calls, as far as emailing, as far as texting, what I do is I put my phone in the truck. I got the family at the house with me,
Yeah, that's
right? I got the
funny.
wife, I got the wife and the kids, and like my phone is in the truck. I got everything I need. And I know that if anybody needs to get in contact with me, they'll reach out to the wife because the wife's gonna have her phone. And then I let the people know that's important that I need to be communicating with, let's say business wise. Hey, Mondays through Thursdays after 5:30 or Tuesdays through Wednesdays after 5:30, I won't be available. And not trying to over explain it, not trying to justify it, just saying, hey, like, I won't be available.
Yeah, just setting boundaries. Nick, what do you think about that?
I'm just thinking about how bad I've gotten. I will bring my computer places, think that I can pull out my computer and do work. Like I brought my computer to my kid's birthday party last night. I didn't even get on it, but just thinking that it was like some thing near me that I could get on if I had a little bit of time when everything got, when the party was over. So the concept of putting stuff away, I mean, I think that's what I just need to do. Just trying to apply all this to my life, man, Edgar. Because it's like, it's not even that I would get on it. I guess it's just, I don't even know what exactly it is other than thinking that I don't even know what my brain's doing there. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll bring my backpack and I'm not even like, I just got to have my computer near me. It's the weirdest shit, man.
It's a real live addiction. And I would also say this too.
Yeah.
Here's what I've started to do. If I'm always on like that, which it happens still at times, I've gotten better. One of the things I started to do is ask myself the question, Edgar, what's going on? Is there something else that's going on and you're finding ways to avoid it by working harder? That's a pattern for me in my past. Like I'll be pushing and working hard. Yes, like the business, I'm building a business. Yes, I'm working on my company with speaking and coaching. But I've also found that there's usually something else underlining that's going on. It's the same thing with eating. I would say, like, if I'm snacking, I'm usually snacking because there's something else that I got going on. So I use this food as a comfort for me because I'm avoiding like what else that I have going on internally.
What is that? I'm curious because I think that's totally true, man. Like I see that in a lot of high performers as well. We're like we're usually running. We say we're chasing something, like we're chasing money or greatness or whatever it is. But a lot of times it's running from something too. Like there's this little bit of both, like the push and pull. Like what usually is that? You think? Because I think too, like a lot of the high performers, like they are always on, and I sort of like to equate it like a dial. But like for me, I've been like, all right, I need to dial it down. Somebody's gonna dial it up, but I'm usually on. Like I might dial it down to like a one or two, but I'm still on. And then when I'm in it, I'm like, but, like, I don't
It's
wanna be,
always on, man.
I would equate it too to, like, working out all the time. Like, you can't just work out 24/7, your muscles aren't gonna grow, right? You gotta chill out to, like, have your muscles recover because 'cause you're just breaking them down all the time. Like, we gotta chill out. But what is that, Edgar? Like, so I think you're hitting on something really important here.
Man, we don't like sitting with our thoughts and just quiet time. That's scary. like, like it is as humans, like sitting and just quiet. Like, dude, sometimes I drive down the street and I play no music, and my kids, dude, it irks them. Like, Dad, can you turn something on? I'm like, nah, we're just gonna sit here. It's just everybody being quiet. Like running from the silence, because when it's quiet, you then have to pay attention to what's going on. You have to pay attention to something you've been having a hard time to process. You have to pay attention to probably some shame or some guilt with the decision you made. You have to pay attention to a difficult conversation that you've been avoiding with your spouse or your parents or a sibling. You have to pay attention to, dude, I'm stressed right now because we're not producing revenue right now. So I just feel like I need to pay attention to that. And if we don't stop to take time to pay attention and work through that, then I found that life will do something to you to sit you down and make you pay attention.
Mhm.
Damn. Yeah. No, I think that's totally facts, man. I remember for me too, like, I mean, I think me and Nick have talked about this before. Where like we had that moment, we were sort of like in like the dark place a little bit. We were by ourselves a lot, but I think a lot of people got to face that. And if you don't face it, I like to say you got to feel it to fix it in a way. And that's not like you're fixing much things, but like if you're constantly running from something, like you haven't sat with it yet. Like you haven't sat with like why are you running from what you're running. I think you're totally right, man. Like I think especially nowadays too, it is hard to sit with just by yourself and just think and get to know yourself more.
Mhm. And to the depthness that you've been willing to go with yourself, it will allow you to show up to be able to go into depth with other people. So it allows you to be able to show up in a more authentic way, in a curious way as well. And to man, this happened a couple weeks ago. One of my buddies, periodically we work out with each other, and this dude loves squatting. I mean, bro, he comes to the gym with his chalk, his flat shoes, he got his knee braces on. Like this dude is a squatter. Well, there was a certain weight that he's been wanting to squat, and every time I will remind him of it, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'll do it next week." I'm like, "Dude, like you said, you was gonna one rep max this weight." He's like, "Yeah, dude, I'll do it another day." Well, finally, he got to a point that he squatted the weight. And dude, the homeboy had plates on both sides. And when he got up, he was like, man, I feel so much more better now, bro. And I was like, why is that? And he was like, dude, like I've been putting it off. So when I walked away from him, what I realized was one of the antidotes to anxiety is action. Sometimes our anxiety is coming from something we're not doing. So we just try to continue to avoid it and it just builds up. But once we like do it and whatever that doing is, then there's this form of relief that we have as well. And there's something else that's important about sitting down and just paying attention to internally what's going on because we all are telling ourselves stories and stories turn into beliefs. And that belief then turns into a behavior. So paying attention to what is the story that I've been telling myself. So one of the stories I used to tell myself was when I got out of the NFL, when I would go into different meetings with these different executives and these different companies, I had to show up to try to prove. I had to try to show up to prove a point. If I'm showing up saying I have to prove a point, then I'm operating out of a place of lack, as if I don't have everything I need. And I've realized that operating from that place, I'm not showing up being my authentic self. So now showing up as Edgar, showing up being curious, showing up not trying to do a lot, but just my presence be there and be curious about the room and the place that I'm going inside of.
I didn't think we were gonna go here about, telling yourself stories, those become beliefs, those become behaviors. That's so true. So how do people become more aware of what they're telling themselves? Because I mean, that's I think at the end of the day, like your life is very much a byproduct of the stories you tell yourself. Like if you believe you can go start this business and accomplish your dreams and goals, like you're probably gonna tell yourself that story and hype yourself up a little bit, but you can also get in your own way and do the total opposite and like never even attempt to do it. And you might be left with that anxiety. Was there like a point in time where someone like had to call you out on like what you were doing, or did that come with that self-reflection that we were just talking about?
It came first through self-reflection. It came a lot through self-reflection. And then along the journey, I've had people that's pointed things out as well. But back to your question, I would say to the listeners, sit down with a pen and paper and say, hey, what's the story I've been telling myself? And this story that I've been telling myself, how is this supporting my journey of growth and getting better? Is this adding value to me or is this taking away? Maybe the story you've been telling yourself is I'm not good enough. Well, based off what? So that was okay. That's the story I'm telling myself. I'm not good enough. Okay, well, what am I basing it off of? And who said that to me? And what would it sound like for you to be good enough? What is the story? What's the way I need to reprogram to then tell myself I am good enough and not like some hocus pocus stuff, right?
Yeah, like say I'm gonna be a
Like,
billionaire in the mirror. It's like, what have you done yet? Yeah.
it's like, am I good enough? And I'm good enough based off of what I've been doing. And what is it that I've been doing? That's now building that belief, building that story even more. So what actions have I been putting into place that says like, hey, dude, like I am good enough?
Do you think a lot of people struggle with that question? And like, because I think that's most people's biggest fear is like not feeling enough or like not feeling loved enough. I've just noticed this like ever since I mean, we talked about this when we met, like a lot of the personal development stuff. I've noticed that at least like pattern a little bit with a lot of people who might be feeling a little bit anxious or um they might be going for significance, but it's out of that fear of like I don't feel enough, and so they're thinking all the external accomplishments, whatever, might fill that void. Like, have you seen that with the people you work with at these companies, or even like former players?
I've seen it with a lot of people. We all have needs, man. And one of the needs is to be enough. We want to be enough. We want to feel like we're a part. We want to feel like we're connected. It's why we tailgate. It's why we get into fraternities. It's why we get into sororities. It's even the same reason why a young man or a young woman joins a gang. My grandfather used to always say it's the same reason why an 85-year-old woman has 36 cats in the house. She wants to feel like she's connected to something. So that speaks back to the human heart of yearning to and wanting to be enough, wanting to be enough, and for me, this also ties back into my faith. Nick talked about this as well. I realize I am enough because he lives inside of me. Because he lives inside of me, I have everything I need. I lack nothing. There's no shortage. I have everything I need. So this also goes back to, if not careful, if we're always going all the time, we start playing these stories in our head. Let's say the story is I am not enough. So we're driving down the highway. I'm like, yeah, man, I ain't enough. We go into that meeting. Dude, I'm not enough. So like these little moments that like these micro little things we're doing, and it compounds over time. So before you know it, Gizmos turned into the gremlins. Because we kept feeding the thing, you know? So then this comes back to what Edgar, what tip do you recommend? Like, what actually can I do? Here's what I do. I spend a lot of time with my phone. I'm also listening to something at times. So what I started to do is I took the Apple Notes, you have your folder in your phone, and I voice recorded my affirmations to myself. I actually wrote them down first, and then I put the paper in front of me and I hit the record button in my voice memo, and I started recording like my I am certain. I am certain I have everything I need. I'm certain I operate from a place of wholeness and completeness. I'm certain the Creator is giving me every single thing I need. I'm certain I show up not operating from a place of lack. It's weird, but dude, we already are talking to ourselves, so why not control this thing? All right.
I love it, man. How often are you listening to that?
Modern day Marcus Aurelius, man.
I got now like 15 minutes of these, like I call them I am certains. And like in the morning or when I'm driving down the street, right? That other story that's trying to get me off track, that comes up. So man, when I feel those days that's heavy, bro, I pop my headphones in, I'm in my truck, I play it, I'm in my office, and I'm playing these things over and over and over again, you know, or that may be your Bible verses. For me, do not fear from with you, do not be dismayed from your God. I've strengthened you and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. It's Isaiah 41:10. So I got to be able to counter these things as well by like inserting these messages.
Do you do that like every day for the most part?
That's my thing, bro. That's my thing. And Justin, too, before I get ready to go down, lay down, and go to sleep at night, I'll at least try to get a couple minutes of that, playing it in my headphones. So now, like, I know there's science behind it. I haven't dove into it, but I'm for certain you're doing things like that. Like now you're subconsciously you're planting these seeds as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of my first ever coaches, his name's Jim Fannin. So shout out to Jim if you're listening. But he would work with a lot of top athletes, performers, executives, and he would always, tell me like focus on what you want. He wouldn't exactly do what you're saying, but before bed, he would always say like visualize what you want. And he would say, when you go to bed, subconsciously you're gonna marinate on it for like 8 to 9 hours, however long you sleep, and then you keep doing that over time, and it's just like it just becomes a part of who you are. So I think there's a lot of again, there is neuroscience to that for sure. Like the more you think about it, the more you're listening to it, it's rewiring your brain. And I think that's, when me and Nick first met, we were just talking about like how we would always just listen to like Tony Robbins and like Ed Milet, Andy Frisell all the time. Like I think those are the words again that you're constantly listening to, that you're feeding yourself. They have a real big impact on your life, like and how you think about things, how you feel. So I love it, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's elite.
Before we did it, before we said it, we thought it first. There was somewhere along the lines that thought was going on. And then before we know it, like we said something or we did something, and it's like, well, that came from what was going on up here.
Power of your thought.
I think Aristotle has a quote about that, but I've done that too, man. Like literally, I think there's times I've rewired my freaking brain, listening to stuff 15 hours straight. Like, and Justin, I think we maybe talked about it a little bit. Edgar, I don't think we ever have. It's a time period in my life where I really dug in. It was before I got to the NFL, rewired my brain, my thought pattern, my behavior. Still, I need to get back to some of that, because when you dial in like that and you slow down, like you mentioned, and you can think so much more strategically and build consistency and action that that's going to produce fruit. I mean, it opened up doors in my life that I didn't even know existed. So that is a really good reminder to me to get back to the basics, man. And even I love how you actually have yourself talk about it versus listening to Tony Robbins or something. And I used to journal so much too. I'm even thinking about now writing it all out. I mean, I don't know if I write it or I walk and listen while I got my 40-pound weight vest on. You gave me a lot of really good tactical stuff today, man. So I appreciate that. How can we help you in life and business, in your faith? However, I mean, Justin and I know a lot of people, and we're trying to connect all the 300 Spartans in the world to change it. But how can we be helpful to you?
Man, for any leaders that you know in any organizations that's looking to not just continue to grow, but to sustain that growth. And they're starting to ask themselves this question of not about just how can we perform at a high level, but who are we becoming through this process? Those individuals that's looking and thinking a lot about that, or you're having those conversations, that's what I come in and I provide resources and tools to be able to equip those individuals with what they need to continue to go to another level. And that's through either speaking, coming to speak to their organization, or doing group coaching as well. I also do some one-on-one coaching. And it's very rewarding, man. It's very, very rewarding. In the line of the work I get it, I'm fortunate enough to do. It's not just about speaking. It's about connecting and being able to see the person. And it's also about them coming back to me and saying, Edgar, you talked about the GPS framework. I tried that with one of my new team members, and it worked a lot out. Thank you for that. Like that right there means a lot to me, because when you can make the impact in someone's life, let's say professionally, that tends to roll over into their personal life as well. And we can't separate the two as high performers, as leaders. We sometimes can try to separate the two, but both are important. Because I've been around NFL guys, and Nick, you've seen this, and Justin, I'm for certain you've heard about this as well, is they're great on the field, but they've neglected all the personal things. And then the personal things end up impacting the professional side of it. Or they end up being so personal all the time, then personal ends up impacting professional. So the tips and the frameworks and the stories and the resources that I bring to organizations and leaders, they're things that we can apply in both aspects of life. And two, we talked about 64, the Underdog story, but Nick, I just published a journal at the end of the last year, the High Performance Reset.
Yeah.
So you can grab it on Amazon, the High Performance Reset. So, man, I've been writing over the last.
I'm ordering that right now.
Yeah, I've been writing it over I've been journaling like the last 15 years. And when I first started writing, it was just blank pages. And throughout this journey, when I've talked to different leaders, they've asked me some of these questions that you talked about, Justin, like, hey, man, well, how do you slow down? And here's one of the tools that I have that helps me with slowing down. So I created a journal called the High Performance Reset. And it's a journal that has daily prompts that guide people through writing. So on the days that if you don't know what you want to write about, there's prompts put into place to guide you as well.
Let's go. That's awesome. Well, Edgar, last question real quick. The show is called Born to Be Great. Would love to get your definition of greatness and what it means to be great to you.
What it means to be great to me, man, is to first make sure I don't disrespect the message I speak, that I live the message out for myself, and I don't neglect myself along the journey. Also, what it means to be great to me are the 3 C's. Justin, we talked about this earlier. When you open up the Bible or when you look at nature, there's 3 things that's very, very clear. Nature's always creating. It's creating more than we probably deserve as little humans right now. Second is it's connected. The rivers, the streams, the trees, the root system, it's all connected. And then the third one is contribution, given to something that's bigger than you. So for me, my definition on great is, how am I creating how am I connecting, and how am I contributing? That's my internal scoreboard, because I realized that if my scoreboard is based off of what somebody else built for me, then what happens if they remove that scoreboard? So my definition of great is, how am I creating? And what I do is I create clarity for leaders through stories and frameworks. I create space for Nick to talk. I create space for my kids to come in and talk to me about what's going on. I take time to connect with someone. I have a folder on my phone called Connecting. So I just put people down, man, and I shoot them a text. Hey, bro, thinking about you today. Give somebody a call. And I also put good boundaries in place. So I text somebody like, hey, bro, thinking about you today. Can't talk right now. How about we get on a call next week? So that's good boundaries, right? I have reminders to connect, and then contributing. Contributing can be my resources. Maybe it's me giving to a nonprofit. Contributing can be me volunteering. Contributing can be me taking the time to go help a good friend out that needs help. Let's say they're moving or something. Not that I want to move extra boxes, but that's a contribution. All right. So my definition of great is creating, connecting, and contributing.
Dude, awesome answer. We thank you for contributing your time today for the podcast. This is amazing. Again, if y'all are listening, if you're a leader of an organization, you're starting your own business, like hit up Edgar. Edgar, where can they find you, man?
So LinkedIn is a platform I'm very active on. I talk about a lot of different stories and frameworks on LinkedIn. I'm on IG as well and TikTok as well. And then my YouTube channel, man, I started it up. My wife kept getting on to me. She's like, you need to start a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is called The High Performers Reset with Edgar Jones.
Let's go.
Subscribing.
The website is www.THELITCODE, the lit code.
Awesome, guys. Well, go connect with Edgar, hit him up on LinkedIn, and yeah, have him come coach your team up. This is awesome, man. We appreciate you coming on, Edgar.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.